All right, Neil, wrapping up the Citrus Bowl. Man, fun, entertaining game. Penn State loses to Kentucky 27-24. Trace McSorley's legacy today, really just incredible. Down 27-7. There's a report he's broken his foot and he's done. And then all of a sudden he leads Penn State back and they almost come back and win the game. Just really a crazy day from a lot of standpoints like that.
Well, I mean, when you look at his career, the bookends are it started at the Tax Slayer Bowl, where the team was down 24-3, and he was bringing them back the whole way, 24-17. They got beat. Same thing today, although he was the starting quarterback. But then he came into the game after he had been injured. You know, I thought James Franklin put it well, but you know, you could talk about his arms and his legs, but it's his heart and his mind, and how strong he is mentally when the game's on the line.
You've covered Penn State football a long time. You wrote in 2012 that Michael Maudie was the greatest leader that you've ever seen at Penn State. Now, those were obviously very different circumstances, and Maudie was phenomenal in that. In terms of play on the field and in terms of the chip on the shoulder, where does McSorley rank in terms of leadership?
Yeah, he'd be right there in the conversation with Maudie. Tremendous. I also thought, I mean, different position obviously, but maybe the toughest player they've ever had. I mean, when you think back to the Ohio State game and how he put them on his back, and you know the runs that he was finishing, I think he ran for 175 yards just in that game. In addition to, I just don't think. I think when he looks back and when we look back on his career, you're talking about somebody that just gave everything he had, and nobody could say, boy, you know, obviously today, and that's why I think people reacted, well, why didn't you give another shot on fourth down?
Well, but let's do the armchair quarterback thing, because this is what's great about football, okay? Penn State's coming back from 27-7. It's 27-21. There's 4 minutes and 12 seconds left. 4th and 7 from the Kentucky 14.
Yeah. You
have 3 timeouts. Kick the field goal to make it a 3-point game. Hold them, get the ball back. Go for they end up kicking the field goal. What do you think of the decision?
You know, I can't criticize the decision overly because I thought their defense had made a couple stops in a row and they had 3 timeouts left. Even if they don't make the field goal, they still can score and win the game with a touchdown, and you know, it would have put them in a position to. They had a little more flexibility. So you know, hey, they had to stop Snell late in the game, and they didn't do it. And they had dug themselves a big enough hole in the first half that it just was a little difficult to come back. But that's one of those calls that comes down to it's right if it works, and it's wrong if it doesn't.
Look, a lot of you will disagree with this. I thought kicking the field goal was the right move. And if you know anything about me, I am extremely aggressive in sports. I'm for going for it all the time at mid. Go for it. But 4 minutes and 15 seconds to go. You got 3 timeouts. Your defense has been playing great. You could even give up 1 first down. If you get the field goal, you could even give up 1 first down.
Yeah.
And still get the ball back with about 2 minutes to go, down 3. Plenty of time. They just couldn't give up 2 first downs. And they did. And so, again, I know there are people out there, I've heard from you already on Twitter, you're adamant that James Franklin blew this. I think kicking the field goal was the right move.
Yeah, and you know, on 3rd down, they'd have pass deflected. You know, say they would have, you know, done something to make it 4th and 1 or 2 or even 3. Maybe it's a different conversation. I don't think that's where the game was lost. I think the game was lost in the first half and on their special teams.
Because they should have been up. Kentucky had 87 yards in the first half. They should have been up 1 or 2 scores.
They continue to drop balls. Their special teams, you miss a field goal, you miss 2 field goals, get another one blocked, you kick a ball out of bounds to start the second half to give Kentucky a jump start, a touchdown drive for them. Right after that, Snell runs for 26 yards. So there were, you know, drop balls again. Clifford comes in, throws a beautiful pass to DeAndre Tompkins, who drops it.
Yeah.
So you fake a punt, it doesn't work. So there were a lot of other things that beat them other than not going for the touchdown on 4th down.
Okay, so let's tie up the season here. This is a season of just what could have been missed opportunities. They almost beat Ohio State, but they didn't. Michigan got a hell away from them. They could have beaten Michigan State. They could have won this game, but they're 9-4. They didn't beat anybody. They beat Pitt 51-6. Pitt lost a bunch. How do you analyze the season in which you were a top 10 team to start the year. You lost all 3 of your biggest regular season games, again, outside of Pitt, but the division games. You come out and you're atrocious for 3 quarters in your bowl game. How do you analyze? Because we're talking about successful season or not. This is as mediocre of a 9-4 season as you can get, I think.
Yeah, I think the season's in large part disappointing, particularly after the way they came out of the chute in September. Really blew out Pitt. Look, I don't think Penn State is as good as they played against Pitt. They did beat Wisconsin and Iowa, which had good bowl wins. So I don't think the season was a failure, but I don't think it was overly successful. I think there's a lot of work to still do. A rollback to the elite comment after the Ohio State game. There's 3 losses since then. Yeah. And a same pattern of special teams. I think there'll be some real soul searching within the program, potential changes, maybe 1 or 2 staff changes. We don't know at this point, but clearly the receivers and the special teams positions did not function well, and they'll have to get better.
We'll have a lot of time to look ahead to next season, but I can see a drop-off next season. You're losing McSorley is just an incredible lead. You're losing him. I think you're probably going to lose Miles Sanders. The defense will probably be good, but I just see a drop-off next year.
Defense, played, I think, well today. Just couldn't stop them when they absolutely had to at the end. So that was, kind of a demerit when they really had to have it. But a lot of young players played. Parsons played very well today. I think there's a lot of talent in the program. Now they're going to have to pull it together and see what kind of leadership they'll have. They're going to miss one of the greatest leaders. So a fun year. It was an entertaining year. And there were some good moments, but when the lights were on the brightest, they didn't come through.
We appreciate you watching our videos all year. I get a lot of good feedback and comments on these videos. Very, very much appreciated. We try to wrap things up pretty well on these. Sometimes we go a little long. Sometimes people say, hey, you guys should talk a little longer, which I'm never accused of people saying I should talk longer. But these videos have been fun, and we appreciate everybody for tuning in all year.